Hi again. Ready to cover the next 4 steps to create a high-fidelity prototype in Figma? As a refresher, the 6 steps to create a high-fidelity prototype are: lay out the mockups, connect the screens, add interaction details, adjust the animation, complete for all screens, and share your work. We already learned how to lay out the mockups and connect the screens. Now it's on to step 3, which is adding interaction details. After connecting 2 screens, it's time to customize the interaction details. Before we get started, I'm going to open up Figma so you can follow along with each step. There are 3 parts of an interaction to explore. First is the trigger. The trigger defines what type of interaction will cause the prototype to advance forward. The trigger could be a mouse click, touch gesture, or the time elapsed in the current frame. In Figma, the trigger is the first drop-down menu listed on the Interaction Details panel. For the Book Appointment button on the home page, I'll select the trigger called OnClick, OnTap, which means the prototype will advance forward when a user clicks or taps the button. The second part of an interaction is the action. The action defines what happens when the user interacts with the hotspot. This could mean moving to another frame or opening a link. There are 6 actions to choose from in Figma. For this example, I'll select Navigate to from the drop-down menu. This action takes users from one frame in a prototype to the next. Navigate to is the most common type of action to use when moving between entire screens. The last part of an interaction is the destination. The destination could be another screen in the prototype or an overlay that appears above the current screen. In this example, after a user clicks the Book Appointment button, I want the destination to be the first Book Appointment screen. Alright, we finished step 3 of creating a high-fidelity prototype in Figma, which was adding interaction details. Now it's time for step 4, which is adjusting the animation. The animation settings determine how the prototype moves from one screen to the other. This is how I can add motion to the prototype. Figma has 8 animations you can choose from. For example, if I select Instant as the animation, the user will go from one screen to the next without any motion or transition in between. Let's take a moment to check out how this works in the prototype. First, I'll hit the Present icon next to the Share button in the top right of Figma. That will open up a new tab. If I click on the Book Appointment button in the homepage of the prototype, our app will instantly move to the first Book Appointment screen. Now that I've seen this animation in action, I'm not sure that I like the instant animation because it feels jarring. So let me try changing this animation to slide in instead. For this animation, I also need to select the direction that the page will slide in from. I'll select the up arrow because I want the page to slide in from the bottom of the screen up toward the top of the screen. The arrow points in the direction that the screen will slide. Then I'll test it out again. I'll hit the Present button one more time and see how the slide in animation looks. Great! I like the slide in animation because it's smoother and more natural. One more thing. Gestures in motion can really help users with wayfinding. I've just shown you how to make the Book Appointment screen open. Now I need to add the motion that will happen when a user closes this screen in order to return to the homepage. I want these 2 motions to feel similar so that it's easy for users to navigate through the app. To go back to the home screen, users will tap the X in the upper right corner of the Book Appointment screen. I'll start by connecting the X to the homepage. I'll click the X, select the node, and drag the arrow to the left to connect it to the homepage. Great! The Interaction Detail panel has popped up. I'll keep the trigger as OnClick, OnTap. Instead, I'll focus on the animation. When the user closes the Book Appointment screen, I want the animation to be the opposite of when the user opens the screen. So I'll select Slide Out instead of Slide In, and the down arrow instead of the up arrow. Let me test my prototype one more time using the Present button. I'll click the Book Appointment button, and the second screen slides up. Then, if I click the X to return to the homepage, the screen slides down. You will probably play around with your prototype in Figma like this quite a bit. You'll test out lots of options for interactions and animations until you land on the one that looks and feels right to you. This is part of the fun in the prototyping process. And with that, I've added gesture and motion to the high-fidelity prototype. I will continue adding gestures and motion for each screen of the prototype, just like I did for this screen, in order to finish the user flow. Once I've finished creating all of the interactions and my prototype is looking good, I can share my work with others. Let me show you. If I click on the Share button in the top right of the screen, I can select people to view or edit my file in Figma. All right, that's it. You now know the basics of how to create a high-fidelity prototype in Figma. It's your turn to transform your mockups into a high-fidelity prototype for your own project.